How's it going, dudes? So you're a gamer with no game, a player that can't play, and crucially just an all-around miserable romancer. I'm talking real depressing stuff here. When a fine gal comes up to you and says that she wants to spice things up, you pull out your emergency red pepper flakes and watch on in horror as she literally withers away. So you need some help, and since my class on the subject is fully booked, you're gonna have to go to the next best source on how to get the whole crowd bumping and grinding wall to wall. Board games, of course. Don't believe me, buddy, flop your massive copy of the NBC TV news game on the table and they'll be lining out the door. The board gaming world is home to titles focused on nearly every subject available. And just like every other creation, if it sticks around for long enough, eventually someone is going to ask how they can use this to get laid. But after several failed attempts of taking Strip Candyland into the mainstream, the degenerates eventually just asked, well, what if we made the games themselves sexy? And were promptly blacklisted from most locations. Naughty board games. We've finally done it, boys. We've found the hot board gaming action. Games belonging to the sexy category are three things. They are all over the place, they are poorly cataloged, and they are filled with just a myriad of nasty stuff. As such, I have undergone quite the task of attempting to cover these, both due to my inability to swear and the family-friendly nature of this platform, but I think I've managed to crack the code. We'll be tackling these similar to how I approached the bootleg board games, jumping from title to title, showcasing the unique whack crap contained within each one without getting too attached to any one game, lest we end up developing feelings for it. With this method, we should be able to avoid anything too saucy or provocative, so let's go ahead and look at our first title to start us off nice and easy. Alright, wrap it up, boys, we tried our best. Let's What, owner of a generous rating of 1.5 on Board Game Geek. I think this comment from Bardock sums it up pretty well. Let's What is a very complicated game with how its mechanics operate. What happens here is that players will take turns spinning the spinner adorned with several pictures of people going absolutely silly on each other, and moving to the next space that matches the color of what they spun, Candyland style. When you get the Candyland comparison one sentence in, boy, you've got a real heater on your hands. Players will continue to spin the spinner until one player lands on the bed, at which point they will spin the spinner one more time and proceed to get freaky, yeah, in whatever position the spinner points to. And that's it. Congratulations, the game's over, right to the point. I'm serious, this bad boy has like 5 minutes of gameplay max until it just tells you to screw off and get your screw on. See, I'm not doing this jump format because I can't cover a lot of the game, but because mostly there's not a lot of game to cover. So let's go ahead and get this party schmoovin' by looking at more titles featuring about what you'd expect from a naughty board game. Strip Checkers, the people's game, for if you're not highbrow enough for Strip Chess or Strip Mancala. Strip Checkers is a very popular game style for companies to just toss out there to make a quick buck, which is why when you look it up, you'll find a wide variety of different options. Strip Checkers is very simple. You play a standard game of checkers, but each check corresponds to a different article of clothing. When you lose that piece, you lose that article. The rules do vary between versions on a couple of different points, the biggest being whether or not you get your clothes back after you get a king. Other than that, it's pretty straightforward. Some notable points for Strip Checkers are as follows. Some versions will come with different variations of the rules, like the Wild Checker where the jumper gets to choose which article is removed, and the Swap Out rule set, where you play with your opponent's checkers and try to lose them as quickly as possible. Since the game predetermines what articles are to be used in the game, this prevents the cheese strategies that many of these games face where the other player shows up dressed for a blistering summer afternoon in Antarctica. And finally, some of these really push the bar on what science can comprehend, even developing a magnetic version which can also be used as a travel edition. Has science gone too far? Next up, Naughty Tower. Step 1. Build a wooden block. Well, do you want a block or a tower? We're talking two different things here. Naughty Tower is your standard Jenga clone, but with silly effects built into the blocks to make the room a lot colder for some players. This is a very simple title, as explained by the box. You build a wooden block, you draw a wooden block, whoever breaks down first loses. The main appeal here is the crazy happenings that can go off once you draw a block. I mean, this is pretty standard stuff for the genre, and what in the world? This is some very low effort stuff here. You can tell because the same company decided, let's just copy and paste our stuff onto a different tower for a more coupley effect. Heck, a completely different company had the same idea with the same pictures. Dude, I can't believe they stole your idea for stacking wooden block game for grown-ups, couple dare questions, all genders and relationships, exciting, pleasing, and funny challenges, couples, date night, gift make, date and game night, fun 54 count. I knew I should have patented that! The last game featured in our standard category is Sip and Strip, our representative of the roll and move and remove type game. Think bumps and grinds, but without all the arson. Quite an easy title to understand here. You move around the board and follow the effects of whichever space you land on as players get more drunk and less covered as the game continues. This one doesn't have a whole lot going for it at all, just roll the dice and wait to see what happens. Heck, the only strategic move you could pull off is if you land on a safety square, you could take up its offer to smoke and blow the fumes into your opponent's face to try to kill them, but as a disclaimer, this move is banned in most tournament settings. One interesting part of the game is that the winner is the one who is the last to remove their final article of clothing, meaning that if you get eliminated first, you could be sitting there bare bottom for quite some time before the game finally ends and you can get back to your quarterly earnings meeting. Really, the most interesting part of Sip and Strip is that it was developed by the same team that put together Pass Out, the drinking game that qualified for the first worst board game of all time tournament as a 12 seed before it was obliterated by RPS in the opening round. It could not have drawn a worse matchup. This company cannot catch a break. But that should cover most of the standard types of titles that you will find in the genre. The basic stuff that are the first things that pop into your mind when you think of naughty board games. But when given the opportunity, some will always take the chance to go even further beyond and craft something that you could have never imagined. So let's jump even deeper into the pit and uncover some of the crazier games that inhabit this space. To get us started, it's time to take it all off, but put your knowledge caps on with some sexual trivia. Balls. ST is the 1993 title that attempts to prove that fact is stranger than fiction with over 1,400 stimulating questions. Strap in and strap on, you're gonna learn today. ST sees players attempting to be the first to score 100 organisms by rolling around the board and correctly answering trivia questions. Along the way, running into various effects that could send you back to sex ed or actual horny jail. Some of these random effects that you can run into can shine quite the light on your life, like how you don't know where babies come from, how you don't know about birth control at all, or how you've never been on a date. I was gonna make fun of you, but honestly, keep your chin up, buddy, it'll get better. The stimulating questions come in the form of various categories, which can be located inside of the most sought-after literature on this earth, the sex manuals. They are real. The 4 sex manuals contain some of the most arcane knowledge on the subject, and are quite difficult to get your hands on if you wish to learn their secrets. Luckily for you, I've managed to acquire 2 snapshots off of the black market at a considerable price. So let's expand our minds together with some forbidden knowledge. Benjamin Franklin had an illegitimate son, grandson, and great-grandson. Okay, that's nice and all, not exactly what I'm looking for. Who advised a young man to choose an older woman as a lover because they are so grateful? Why are all of these about Ben Franklin? Charlemagne, as the Holy Roman Emperor, forbade his children to marry. Wait a second, there's nothing sexy about this, it's just trivia! Yes, to the ire of many people who picked this one up, it contains no illicit material nor puts you in any saucy situations, making this closer to something that you would use in a classroom rather than something you would take to a party. Don't believe me? One of the reviews is from a teacher who used it in their human sexuality class and said that it worked great. So what we've managed to get our hands on here is a game that's real easy for me to cover, but not at all what we're supposed to be looking for. So let's try a different direction and see if we can't find something a little more on topic. Sexy dominoes. I cannot say I was expecting that one. Dominate. The winner takes, or gives it all. You're just playing dominoes. You're literally just playing dominoes. Dominate sees players try to match the symbols on their dominoes in order to be the first to get rid of their stack, with the winner getting the chance to draw one of the reward cards that they can use to dish out a punishment to their partner or themselves. I cannot stress this enough. It is literally just dominoes with different symbols on them. You are setting the mood for your night of passion by running through an exciting game of dominoes. They definitely came up with the name for this one first and then said, all right, now build a game around that. It's too good to pass up on. The only notable part of Dominate is that it also comes with 2 other editions. The Master Edition, which comes with all of the utensils you would need to act out the cards, and Dominate Quickie, which ditches the domino mechanic entirely and just has you roll a die to see what happens. If I'm being honest, this version might be the fastest game ever covered on this channel if only using gameplay. You roll the die once and then go do your own thing. That's less than 5 seconds of game time. But from one baffling idea to the next, we meet a game that lets you link up at the links and grind on the greens. Striptease! Now that's how you base a game around a name! Striptease Golf Game for Adults is the stay-at-home golf set with, to my knowledge, exactly 2 pictures on the entire internet, neither of them with the box open. However, with the info that I could gather, I can at least tell you how this bad boy works so you're not left itching for more. What you do here is set up a golf hole in your house, and using the included putters and such, try to get into the hole and finish in as few strokes as possible. For each hole that you win, you get to remove 1 layer of clothing off of the other player. Play until there's nothing left to lose. The game comes with everything you need. 2 balls, 2 holes, 2 flags, 2 clubs, a scorecard, and the traditional little pencil. It's not how long your pencil is, it's how you write your name. That's gotta be the worst one of those I've heard. That's pretty much all there is to this one, just engaging in the massive amounts of sinful activity that you can expect from your average golf game, so let's keep moving. Say you're like this lovely couple here, and you've just finished a rousing round of golf and are ready to get groovin', but need something from this genre not for the weirdos, but for the committed couples. Well, there's no better way to get yourself committed than by partaking in our next title, the cleanser to all the degeneracy we've encountered until now, Monogamy. Lovingly referred to as the anti-adultery, Monogamy is the 2-player game meant for committed couples to get to know each other a little better by engaging in increasingly passionate acts as the game continues, the winner getting to choose which fantasy card they would like to come true at the end. Monogamy is similar to most other roll and move titles in the genre, except that its aim is not only to get things going, but also help to develop a deeper connection between the players. So while some cards are going to contain those saucy effects that you'd be expecting, some of them are instead going to ask you to learn a little more about your significant other's tastes and feelings. Cute. Adorable even. Romantic, if you will. You know what else this game is going to make you do? Eat an unexpectedly large amount of food. For some reason, a bunch of this game's cards involve eating or drinking throughout every round, so you might want to hold back on that hearty meal beforehand lest you grow too bloated to finish the game. Of course, while these side activities are nice, the main point of the game is still to, as Kool and the Gang puts it, get down on it, which you will eke closer and closer to doing as you progress through each of the levels, intimate, passionate, and steamy. Now, we do need to pull out before we get too deep into this one, so let's end this title section on the interesting fact that this apparently has 2 versions. Yes, Monogamy here appears to be the rebranded version of the game A Hot Affair. This conclusion coming to me on the tough-to-spot analysis that these 2 games look exactly the same. The name is even still present on Monogamy as the subline, A Hot Affair with your partner, which was the full title on the last one, but I guess they weren't getting the attention of the crowd they wanted, so they slapped Monogamy on the front to get their point across a little easier. It is refreshing after seeing all the weird and wild stuff in this genre to find a game that just focuses on the bond between 2 people. And even if it does have some strange decisions on how much food is an appropriate amount for setting the mood, it is a welcome change of pace for sure. And now that we've gotten all that sappy crap out of the way, it's time to bring you right back down to reality with by far the weirdest option out of everything we've seen today. See, after everything that I've looked through, sexy checkers, sexy dominoes, sexy golf, I wasn't really expecting to be taken off guard by anything else that I stumbled across. And yet, here I am, sitting completely confounded as to how I've managed to come into contact with Strip Yu-Gi-Oh! Bedroom Battle, because Domestic Dispute did not perform well with test audiences. Bedroom Battle is the card game where players will play cards containing characters, attributes, and special effects in order to boost their appeal. Whoever has the most appeal at the end of the round wins and gets to select their reward from the reward card for their prize. Each reward card comes with 3 choices in 3 levels: small, hot, or final, and the losing player must follow your choice unless they have a bail card, which will force you to pick again. But before you can make your pick, you'll first need to earn it in a duel. So let's see what kind of cards you have at your disposal and how you can work your way through this bedroom battle. The main force behind your efforts are your characters, most of which carry a base appeal level that you'll be trying to increase over the course of the duel. You can do this by adding more characters to your field or by boosting your character's appeal with attributes. But the more aggressive players out there can also instead try to lower their opponent's appeal by playing negatives on them. Special cards carry effects that can also mess with this value, and the round ends when one player cannot play any more cards or chooses to take the loss to save their cards for the next round. Since the whole gameplay is going to be adding or subtracting from your value, this one isn't going to end up very deep in terms of strategy. In fact, the only real strategy point here is whether or not to spend your cards for an all-out push this round or save them till next in the hope that they'll give you an edge. Intergame strategy is just draw a card and play it. Hey, wait a second, this is just Super Deck! You remember Super Deck, the superhero card game, doing a bunch of math the whole time. The Twin Towers card, yeah, now you got it. Luckily for our bedroom battlers out there, the math here isn't going to be as complicated as Super Deck, so you won't have to get out your calculator or your rare pullable times table. You can just focus more on playing your super cool cards like the Dancer, the Mankini, or the better Pot of Greed. Oh, the new bedroom battle ban list just came out. Crystal Ball is gone. Ah! But if this dirty deck wasn't enough for you, then never fear, as the game also comes with 2 expansions to help your pleasant plays: the Naughty Winter Nights and the Hot Summer Days. These 2 come along with themed cards of each type that help to match the setting, allowing you to add DJ Summer and his private island to your arsenal, or if you'd rather, send out your itchy Christmas sweater and Santa himself with an appeal rating of 2. I mean, that's outright disrespectful. Still can't get enough hot battling action? Well then download the new Bedroom Battle app expansion, which adds a new spinnable wheel to the reward system to determine what type of reward you get. These can range anywhere from your standard reward to in-game effects as well. So let's go ahead and give this bad boy a spin to see what we get. Ah, I'm a liar. See, the Bedroom Battle app expansion is only available on the Apple App Store. And unfortunately for me, I have a Samsung phone. I'm sorry, okay? I like the UI. And that's all there really is to talk about for Bedroom Battle. Definitely the most complete game that we've covered tonight, but would I say the hottest? I don't think so. That's because we still have one more game left to cover. And I think that you'll agree that when it comes to setting the mood, it doesn't get much hotter than this. Prepare yourselves, ladies and gentlemen, to be lifted up into a cloud of pure bliss, because it's time to get yourselves moving and grooving with Kenny G's Keeping It Sexy. Now, Kenny G's Keeping It Sexy is a cooperative game that sees players utilize the unrelenting power of smooth jazz to help Kenny G get through his stressful day. Work together to play the right jazz tunes to untangle Kenny from the scrapes he encounters. If Kenny can make it through his day without losing his groove, you win. How this game works is that players will get various jazz cards that will carry different colored symbols that, if used in the right order, can clear one of the stress cards. Work with your friends to play those colors in order and remove that stress from Kenny's day. Kenny can come into contact with many stressful situations depending on what time of day it is. For instance, in the morning a dog could have chewed on his shoes, there could have been no sack streams last night, or worst of all, there could be no time for morning sacks. A fate that I would not wish on anyone. If your jazz is subpar and you are unable to clear these stresses, then they will subtract from Kenny's groove. If Kenny ends up losing all of his groove, then you lose. Luckily, you and your friends are working together to make sure that this never comes to pass. Being able to play cards to help each other out, like having a sacked solo, becoming the master of sacks, or having sacks with friends. Ooh, they'll really appreciate that. With a jazzin' theme, some cooperative play, and a smooth backing track if you really want to get into it, Kenny G's Keeping It Sexy is sure to bring you and your friends closer than ever before. Whew! Woo! I'm surprised that we made it through all of those, especially that last one. Never underestimate the power of some smooth jazz. That should bring our journey through this provocative product pool to an end. But I'd be remiss if I didn't at least mention the real ruler of this raunchy realm, the Diplomat Sales Co. Diplomat is the producer behind the three most famous naughty games in this space, Strip-Tac-Toe, Bumps and Grinds, and of course the king of the castle, Adultery. Even though they only ended up making these three games, they have lived on in infamy due to how bonkers this lineup is. But since I have already covered all three before, I didn't want to give them their own segment and steal time away from the newbies. It is really such a shame that they only got 3 titles out before they vanished off the face of the earth, as I'm quite curious about what other whack crap they would have conjured up if they had just a little more time on their hands. Guess we'll never know though, so I'd say that it's about time that we get up on out of here. Signing off for... Hello? No, I don't read the news. What happened? They found more? I thought there were only 3 of them. How many are there? 20?! A special thank you to my suppliers, staff, and chefs over at the deli, as well as the media preservers helping me get these rare games ported for the public to enjoy. If you'd like to join the crew, you can take a look using the link in the description below.